You just came back from the gym after a brutal pump, ate, and got ready to win the Mrs. Olympia competition in your bathroom. But you realized your physique is still missing something. Something that will make your physique more dominant and aesthetic. The thing you're missing is probably thick, wide arms, but not in the way you think. You see, 2 years into training, I realized that no matter how hard I train arms, the width just never changed. Like from the side, I started having gigantic arms. But when the front view is shown, yeah, let's not talk about that. It's only until I realized, after watching tens of videos and reading articles, that growing it is possible, however, with specific exercises and a way of training. So that's why I made this video, to help you get out of skinny arm look and finally have a more dominant aesthetic look. So here's why my arms still looked like noodles from the front, and why yours probably do too. Myth busting. Doing more regular curls will not give you wide arms. Curls mainly build a biceps peak, and that peak disappears the second you relax. Sure, it looks good from the side when you're flexing, but from the front?
Nothing!
And if you don't look big without flexing, your arms aren't truly dominant. I already know the excuse. But bro, I isolate biceps all the time. Concentration curls, incline curls, all of it. Yet the arms still look narrow, because those exercises don't target the muscles responsible for width. Compound lifts can help, of course. But if your goal is thick, wide arms from the front, the focus has to be on isolating the right muscles and forcing them to grow. So before we get into exercises, let's break down which muscles actually make your arms look wide. Muscles responsible. Everyone talks about biceps when it comes to arm size, and I used to think the same way. Bigger biceps meant bigger arms. But after a while, it became obvious that the biceps mostly give you a flexed look. The short head of the biceps does help from the front, adding some inner fullness and making the arm look rounder, but it still doesn't change how wide your arms actually appear. That's where the brachialis comes in. When it grows, it pushes the whole arm outward, which is why some people look thick even when they're not flexing. And then there's the triceps, which honestly don't get enough credit. Specifically the lateral head. It makes up a huge part of your upper arm and is what really defines the outer edge of your arm from the front. When the lateral head is underdeveloped, the arm looks narrow and soft, no matter how big the biceps are. When the brachialis and lateral head of the triceps are developed together, the arms stop depending on flexing to look big. They just look wide, dense, and solid from the front. Now enough explaining already, let's go into the exercises and get some action. Exercises. For biceps, the goal isn't just moving weight. It's keeping tension where it actually matters. That's why the preacher curl works best on a cable, not a dumbbell or barbell. With free weights, gravity kills the contraction at the top, which is the most important part for biceps growth. The cable keeps constant tension through both the stretch and the squeeze. This alone fixes a huge mistake most people make when training arms. Next is the reverse curl, but not the standard straight-up version. Set your arm at about a 45-degree angle and add a slight elbow back motion, almost like a mini row. This adjustment lets you flex the brachioradialis and brachialis harder, which is key for arm width. Go heavy but controlled. This setup allows you to safely push higher reps, 12 plus, and if you really want to kill it, go with heavy easy curl reverse curl. Andrei Smayev does it, and well, look at him. Another alternative would be single arm hammer curls, done one arm at a time and curled slightly across the chest instead of straight up. This small change creates a deeper contraction and better mind-muscle connection while still letting you use real weight. Same rule applies here, heavy, controlled, and high reps. For triceps, the focus is the lateral head, and nothing beats a rope pushdown done with intent. At the bottom of the movement, slightly spread the rope outward and add a subtle twist to lock in maximum contraction. But the most important part isn't the squeeze, it's the stretch. Take your time on every rep, and don't rush the negative. Once you hit failure, keep going with partial reps in the stretched position. No lockout, just constant tension and burn. This is where triceps growth actually happens, and it's what builds that outer arm thickness you see from the front. Here's my personal tips on how to make it work. If you want this to actually work, you can't train these muscles the same way forever or treat them like an afterthought. You need enough variety to keep them growing. Different angles, grips, and setups that still bias the brachialis and the lateral head of the triceps. Volume matters too, but not in a do a million sets way. You need enough hard sets to force growth, then you back off and let it recover so you can come back and do it again next week. Compound movements still matter as long as they actually load the muscles we talked about. Pressing movements where the elbows stay closer to the body naturally hit the lateral head of the triceps, and pulling movements with a neutral or overhand grip load the brachialis and short head more than people realize. At the end of the day, Arm width has nothing to do with chasing a bigger biceps peak. It's about building the muscles that show when you're not trying to show off. When the brachialis and the lateral head of the triceps are actually developed, your arms don't need a flex to look big. They just look wide and solid from the front. That's the difference between gym arms and real arms. And if you want to see how far this idea can be pushed, check out the Andrei Smayev arm workout video. Once you see how he trains, everything we talked about will click.